The Labour Party and farmers don't traditionally go hand in hand. The repeal of farmer subsidies in the 1980s, for example, showed where the Reds' loyalties lay, in our cities. That's where the vast majority of their support comes from, but now most of our major centres seem to be turning blue. So Labour is forced to look elsewhere. In a recent address to Pipfruit, New Zealand, Labour leader David Shearer pledged his party's support for those in the productive sector. He spoke about the disparity between imports and exports and said that Labour would be fully behind those making the country money.
I've been actually travelling around the country a lot since I've become leader, and that was one of the things I said I was going to do. It was about trying to connect with New Zealanders, to listen to what the issues were, but it was also about the fact that we didn't do very well in a lot of those areas, and we felt that there was something wrong and we did need to reconnect. So it's been really good to get the feedback that I've got. People have been very welcoming and saying, look, thank you for saying that. We've been saying this for a long time and it's nice to hear you say it as well.
Do you think a potential stumbling block to that closer relationship with the rural sector is Labour's stance on the ETS?
There are many people in the rural area who believe that we've got to be clean and green and we've got to show that side of us because that's where our value lies. The products that we're trying to sell into supermarkets in Europe or whatever rely on us having the absolute best clean and green credentials. That's why we're on the top shelf and not on the cheap shelf at the bottom or in the bargain bin, and that's what we've got to maintain that.
Mr Shearer and the Labour Party believe some in farming communities are feeling disgruntled with the national government, which they say is neglecting our country cousins.
The government is neglecting and taking that heartland for granted, that rural vote for granted, where actually it's the source of wealth for our country, and we need to be making sure that it prospers.
So are these just ideas at the moment, or does Labour have some policies in the pipeline that we can look out for?
We've seen a lot of jobs disappear out of the provinces. Disproportionately, numbers of people going off to Australia, for example. We've seen disproportionate amount of money taken out of our polytechs in provincial areas and being passed on to urban areas. It seems to me that when you're looking at skills, just looking at those two things, skills and training together are the very things that will keep people in those towns.
Labour's transport spokesperson, Phil Twyford, has been targeting the government for its neglect of heartland New Zealand.
They are losing jobs under National, they are losing public services, their economy is suffering because this government has no economic plan for the regions.
These are the sort of issues that really work people up, and that quite rightly, because it's not just a matter of economising, it's also about public safety. And that is one thing that the government should be standing by is a record on public safety.
Whether his words will find any footing with our farmers, only an election will tell. But one thing's for sure, National will no longer run unopposed in our rural electorates. Chappell, Country 99 TV News.